Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Quicktime multi-platform principal engineer Paul Charlton.
Hey, just wanted to say hi. Welcome you here at 8:30 on this ungodly hour on Friday morning. Thanks for being here. And basically, we changed the name of our session. Like if you were looking at cross-platform QuickTime, it's no longer cross-platform, it's multi-platform. So that's where we're at. So basically, like we wanted to go through today and kind of show you where we're at and where we're going in the near term and where we're going a bit further out. So if you'd bear with me for the next hour or so, I'll walk you through that. Basically, QuickTime, market-leading multimedia presentation technology. It's the standard for all of your multimedia authoring tools for creating your content. And you guys are shipping like 200 titles a month with QuickTime that are actually getting licenses to ship it, which is pretty impressive. And QuickTime is becoming the de facto internet video standard. I mean, basically, like all of your content, you can redeploy on the internet or CD-ROM or sales presentations, like whatever it is you do with your multimedia. And as far as like the QuickTime movie format, there is one QuickTime movie format. It works on all QuickTime-enabled machines. And it makes your job a lot easier to create your content and deliver it everywhere. So like, what have we done for you lately? We have a whole bunch of technology that enables your software, makes your lives easier, hopefully, and pretty much it just works. It should be something that you don't have to think about. It should just be there, inobtrusive, out of the way, and help you get your job done. So recently, we released QuickTime 2.1 for Windows. Its primary objective was to have a 32-bit enabled version for those of you guys who want the Windows 95 logo enabled product. We have a 32-bit version which works on Windows 95 and Windows NT. And we continue to support the 16-bit version for Windows 3.1, Windows 95, and Windows NT. And that's like a really important point because like we look around and most of you guys, you're gonna have a large customer base who this Christmas and perhaps on into next year will continue to be using Windows 3.1, and we enable you to deliver your content to those users. And we will continue to do so for as long as you guys tell us that you want us to do it. For 2.1, we added some high-performance playback. Like, we continue to improve our playback capabilities, keep getting better and better. So as we get better, your applications get better, your content gets better. We enabled a feature that we call half-size blitting. And what this means to you is you can author your content, especially video, for a high-end machine, like large video, 640 by 480 pixel sort of video. It'll work on a high-end machine at that size. And then if your title recognizes that you're running on a machine with less capable machine, you can actually have your title tell QuickTime to play the video in a smaller window and keep the video continuity and the audio continuity for a good presentation to your users. Another new feature we just added, just because like these PCs have one endemic problem, which is their audio, the pitch on almost any audio card you pick is not correct. It's like if you have your 440 hertz A tone on different machines, it may be anywhere from 420 to 460 hertz when it actually plays back. So we added a new feature to QuickTime 2.1 for Windows, which basically corrects your pitch to be totally accurate so your title will sound the same everywhere that someone wants to play it. We added some more ease of use features. We added a new installer that helps you install QuickTime correctly and goes and gets rid of all the other versions of QuickTime that other titles and other developers may have left scattered around the user's hard drive that basically have caused no end of confusion when you have multiple versions running at the same time. So our installer will go find all of those and basically it'll do the right thing. I mean, it just works. We also added for technical support the QuickTime control panel, which lets you, basically it's geared towards a technical support person helping a customer on the phone configure their machine for good multimedia. I mean, I have yet to find PCs that are configured out of the box to do the best multimedia that that machine is capable of doing. And so our control panel lets you go in and see what things are like and helps you talk through with the customer on the phone if they're having problems. It helps you tweak their machine for the best performance that they can get on their machine. And so at this point, I wanted to go, oops, I missed one point there. So we also, to help you deliver your content on the internet, we've been creating a Netscape plugin, which allows you to stream your content off of your web page, and your video and your audio or MIDI or whatever can actually start playing as the file is downloading from the web server. And basically, you can create much more interesting web experiences if you have this capability and someone has taken the time to author the page so that like the music starts downloading before the rest of the text builds out on the page, just to keep the user occupied and more engaged. So next, we're going to have a demo of the QuickTime installer on Windows 95. And Greg Chapman, who is one of our QuickTime engineers, is going to demonstrate this and some of its features, and I'll talk you through what you're seeing. So basically, on the first screen, this is our install dialogues. We also have another mode, which is a batch mode that lets your installer disable all of our dialogues so that your installer can be more unified with your company's vision of how people install your product. But this is our installer that we have as the default installer. And basically here, it gives you dialogue saying what's going on, what version of QuickTime it is, and now if we could start installing. Basically, at this point, it's asking the user if you want to check the hard drives for existing QuickTime versions. And the general answer to this, the best answer is always yes. This dialog can be disabled from your installer. We have a little ini file that tells our installer what to do or what not to do in particular. So like this one is going to, we're going to bypass the disk check for now, basically because that takes some time. And go ahead, and we get another dialog that's now it's ready to install. It's gone and checked and cleaned out your system and made sure everything's okay to install a new version. So at this point, we start installing. And basically, at this point, we take all of the files and put them where they belong, and then we go through the registry and various other files on the system to make sure that Windows, and more specifically, your application, knows where to find QuickTime, the latest version, the one that will make your application run the best. And at this point, we're going to ask you to calibrate the pitch of the audio card. And we have a little sample movie that plays for like 20 seconds. And if we could start that up, this is actually going to initialize QuickTime, and QuickTime at this point in time is going to try to figure out what the variance in your audio card is and compensate for that in the future when you're playing the rest of the video content of your title and other people's titles. So at this point, if we could calibrate this machine, we'd play 20 seconds of audio. It's really key that we play the whole amount because some machines take 15 seconds to calibrate because they're so far out of whack. We end up zeroing in on the correct result. And at this point, it's calibrated. And we can get out of this part of the install phase. And at this point, we have a QuickTime on your system. So thank you, Greg. And so next, I want to be able to we want to talk through the ease of use features that we have in the control panel. And I'm introducing Keith Greganis, who wrote most of the control panel. And hopefully it helps you guys with your tech support. It helps power users who actually know what their machines do. And at this point, let's go to Keith.
Hello, Good Times Multimedia Incorporated, tech support. Hi, I just bought your Good Times multimedia CD-ROM, and I'm not having a very good time.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What kind of computer configuration do you have?
It's a PC. My father-in-law gave it to me. What do you mean?
Is it a 486, 586, Pentium, or what kind of video card do you have in this machine?
It's got a Intel inside.
Okay. Could you bring up a DOS box and let me know what's in your autoexec.bat and config.sys and win.ini for me?
Is this a DOS box?
Okay, I think you can see exactly what we're talking about in technical support and how difficult it is to configure a PC. And I think the multimedia puts the most stress on the system, and you do need to have that optimally configured. So what we did is come up with a control panel that gives you a collective information about your PC. And you can imagine yourself now as a, say, a technical representative for Good Times Multimedia or something. So I'll bring up the control panel right now. It'll take a second here. It's going out polling the system to see what's in it. So the first screen that you have here, it tells you what the basic configuration, we call this the summary screen. And you'll see down in the bottom right that we have a More button, which will be more advanced. So this will tell you a little bit about what your configuration is. And say if you're on a tech support, you could just tell the person, okay, I have this. It does have the capability of saving to a file, which you could then actually fax to a technical support representative. So why don't we take a little look at what it has here. So we have the operating system, the processor, memory, the video, and the resolution, where the CD-ROM is. And if it doesn't have a CD-ROM, it'll let you know that cannot find a CD-ROM. The audio and the MIDI, the good capabilities to know about. So also we have a button here called Verify Setup, which goes out and makes sure that all the QuickTime for Windows files are located correctly. So if I click the More button, this is the more advanced, so we can go into the specifics of each one of these. So here we have the video settings and how QuickTime is actually glitching to the screen. Now sometimes the settings that maybe people have set up aren't optimal or they're having problems. Here they can override this. In previous versions they've had to go and edit the qtw.ini, and that's not very user-friendly. So what we've done with this is allow you to put settings in here, and we put those in the ini file for you.
Yeah, these are also optimized so that like the best performance method is at the top of this little list box, and then as you go down the list box, you get lower performance, but you get more compatibility with certain machines that aren't capable of doing the high performance modes.
Okay. So as you can see, we have the video here, as Paul talked about, that if it's not working, to go directly to hardware. Maybe the next thing you try is video driver and so forth. With the audio, we tell you a little bit about your audio support and your card. So we go out and pull the card and say, what can you do? It gives us the information back. Also, as Paul mentioned before, Paul and I developed an algorithm for syncing to the actual rate that's requested in the movie rather than perhaps what the card can do.
Yeah.
And what some things that are that other people do is they may speed up the movie if the card's too fast or slow it down, but we play it true with this particular one.
Yeah, so one other benefit, like here on this screen, I don't know if you guys can read it, but basically like we've asked the sound card to do 22050 hertz, which is the MPC standard for audio. And this machine is actually doing 22048. I mean, it may not sound like much, but like if you're going to play a 20-minute video continuously, you're going to be a half a second out of sync with that small incremental difference. And basically, we made a conscious decision that it was more important to have perfect pitch down the road, especially once you get into networking scenarios. It's more important to have perfect pitch than to have the video speed up or slow down to stay in sync with the audio if you use the audio as the reference for your playback. So turn it, Keith.
Oh, okay, so this you can see information about the audio, as well as we'll move into the MIDI so you can see if that's properly installed. And if it wasn't, it would not come up with this information. Also, there are many files that come with QuickTime, and occasionally somehow one gets missed or something. Here you can check and make sure you have the latest. And this is pretty specific information that a technical support representative would know exactly what needs to be done with this.
And also, like if you have custom codecs or custom data handlers with your application because you're doing something fancy and you want to extend QuickTime in that direction, your custom pieces will show up in the components dialog, and you can actually verify that the user has installed the latest version of your components as well as the latest version of our components. So if we go to the components page, and this is like really technical information that most users it's way too confusing. It's like the guy in the DirecTV commercial, and he looks at that screen and he says, I have no idea what's going on here. But you guys can zero in on it with your tech support and actually get some useful information out of this.
Okay, so as you can see, it's a collective information that can be very helpful for the user as well as someone technical support, and that's why we designed that. And it also gives you information about QuickTime itself. Say you can know that it's a 32-bit or the 16-bit version here, and if you figure it out, you can see where the Easter egg is hiding in there as well. So I think with this particular piece, the control panel, it'll help the developers, you as a developer, be able to be comfortable and get the optimal performance and increase, I guess, the performance of everything that you do and decrease the number of calls and support that you have.
Yeah, well, the other thing we've been doing, I mean, the control panel should be the last resort. I mean, we keep trying to do a better job of automatically configuring and recognizing the user's machine to play your applications well. And this is where you go when we can't do it for you. Okay, so now if we go back to our slides and presentation, I'll thank Keith and Greg for their demos. QuickTime is scalable. Basically, like, we enable your applications to run really well on a 486 25 megahertz with low-end video and audio and CD-ROM I/O cards all the way to your high-end Pentium Pros, and we run well in all these environments. If we don't, I'm sure you'll let us know. But we also have Windows 3.1. We will continue to support it, like I said before, as long as you tell us you need it. We'll be there, and all the way up to Windows NT. And actually on the Windows NT space, we're going to get into some more detail like QuickTime 2.5 and what we're doing with that in the near-term future. And we'll have a lot more interesting story on NT than just presentation of multimedia. Over 30 million users you can reach by using our technology to enable your applications. And this number is growing every day. Like, if you believe Microsoft's numbers, that's like 65 million copies of Windows 95 and Windows 95 machines sold by the end of this year. So like, that's fastly growing market, and we hope to help you enable your applications for all of those machines. At this point, some things can be a little confusing. Different applications want to use different mechanisms to play back their multimedia content. And on Windows, we give you two choices at a high level. One is you program to C or C++, or you use an application like Director, which uses the C or C++ APIs to play your content. Or you can write, like in Visual Basic interfaces very easily to the media control interface that IBM and Microsoft defined. And depending on what your application is and where you want to deliver it, you have different choices as to which version of QuickTime for Windows you want to use. So for the C API, if you're on Windows 3.1, you're going to want 16-bit, MCI 16-bit, and basically the rest of it is up here. 32-bit QuickTime for Windows doesn't enable MCI on Windows 95. I mean, this is kind of a confusing point to some people, and I wanted to clarify that. On Windows 95, if you want to use MCI interfaces, you need to be able to use the 16-bit QuickTime for Windows until more documentation comes out telling us how to implement the 32-bit side of this on Windows 95. It may take another rev of Windows 95 before we get there. NT is interesting for like medical imaging, I don't know how many of you guys out here are doing that, but like it's common questions we get are people doing medical imaging and high-end databases for storage of images. And Windows NT is a good platform for enabling that. And I'll go on. We have an extensible architecture, which basically means that you can enhance the capabilities of QuickTime by doing something like a custom codec, which is specific to your content. If you have, like we're going to show in a minute, 3D ray traced graphics, I mean, you may be able to do a better job of writing a codec than the codecs we're currently providing for you. And we enable you to have your own codecs that display your content. We also enable you to have custom data handlers, which basically, depending on the needs of your title, like if you have a title which branches 20 different ways or 8 different ways at any given point in your presentation under the control of the user, you may want to buffer up the data in advance for each and every one of those possible paths, and having a custom data handler is one way to get there. Other interesting uses of custom data handlers I've seen include like some network streaming stuff and enabling for various other peripheral devices that need performance tweaks that we haven't provided for you in the box of QuickTime. We also have our Netscape plugin as an example of how we have extended the QuickTime architecture for you to get your content into the hands of more end users and customers. And at this point, we're going to go to a demo. And Toy Story is a good demo of some of the extensibility of QuickTime, just because the guys at Pixar actually wrote their own codec for their content, and their codec is fairly specific to their 3D ray traced scenery, and it knows a lot of things about how they've rendered their images so that it can optimize the storage and reduce the number of bits needed for each image. And they've also done some custom data handlers, because as you'll see, they have certain screens that have 20 different items you can click on, and no matter which one you click on, they want it to come right up, right in front of you without hesitation. So at this point, I'll turn this over.
Okay, first thing I wanted to show is the installation, how easy it is to customize the QuickTime for Windows installer. And I'll start here and just click. And basically, they're going to be calling our installer and not the whole thing, so you'll see part of it. Okay, and this is the familiar with the QuickTime for Windows, so they actually have launched our installer. And I'm going to actually skip here just for time's sake and install it.
So this is an example of how one of you guys out there has customized our installer to fit the needs of your application. Like, you didn't see all of the same dialogues that we present you in your standard installer. And like, we have some information on how you can put this into your applications installers as well. So get a hold of us, email dev support, and they can help you out with that.
Can I do it? Okay, I'm going to bring up Toy Story. I had the fun thing of bringing Toy Story home to my kids and watching them play it. They're not going to be too happy this morning when they wake up and realize I took it out of the machine to bring it
Woody
here.
and Buzz, best of pals. Who would have believed it? None of us who lived up in Andy's room thought they'd ever get along.
Okay, one of the things to notice, like Paul said here, is to look
Especially
at
on that day
the
you got
actual
Buzz's favorite
images.
birthday gift.
They've done with a
Definitely
custom
been
codec
trouble.
that is 256 colors, and they've done a wonderful job, and it just shows you how
Up till
extensible
then, Woody had
QuickTime
always been
really
number
is.
one.
And they've written a codec that's very specific to their
Since
content.
Scott here got in on the
So
action,
let's
things got
stop
really
here.
bad, but,
We're going to back up here, and let's take a look at one of the pages. This one. Okay, that's pretty
okay, so let
interesting.
me tell you how this business between Woody and Buzz got started. It was right before the move to the new house, and we were having a staff meeting.
And I'll click on some of these objects, and you'll notice that each one is
Woody was
its own
reminding us
movie.
we
And
all
notice how
needed a
fast they
moving
actually
light.
load up.
Snuck in a piece of news that made me lose my change.
Okay, oh yes, one minor note here. Andy's birthday party's been moved to...
Keep in mind this is 256 colors.
Today! His birthday's not till next week!
What's going on down there?
I'm sure that Andy won't get a toy that replaces any of us.
Once again, notice how fast these come out,
It's another
and they're each
dinosaur.
individual
A new one.
movies.
I just don't think I can take that kind of rejection.
So one other thing I want to note right now is this demo is running on a 486. It's not running on a Pentium or a Pentium Pro. So this is a good example of like what performance QuickTime can help your application with.
Okay, we could play for this for hours when my kids do, and I'm sure when I take it home tonight they will. Basically, I just want to say it's QuickTime. It just works.
So at this point, I want to introduce Charles Wilchin, who's our QuickTime Technologies evangelist, and he wants to talk to you a bit.
Hi-ho. My name is Charles Wilchin. I'm the QuickTime Technologies evangelist for Apple. And if you're really interested in the things that you see up here, and also the things he's going to tell you about future versions of QuickTime for Windows, that's an email address that you probably want to have handy. You can write me about developer issues involving QuickTime for Windows at any time. Also, I do things like host developer kitchens for QuickTime in the Macintosh, and QuickTime for Windows on a fairly regular basis. So if you're a developer interested in coming to one of those kitchens, talking to the QuickTime engineers themselves, along with DTS, and actually getting some coding done, talk to me. Also refer to the URL for QuickTime, which is http://quicktime.apple.com. There is an announce-only listserv that's going up where I announce like new versions of QuickTime for Mac, QuickTime for Windows, new kitchens coming up. There's also an announce-only listserv that they're going to have details on how to subscribe to that, and also the QuickTime Developers listserv, which is also really popular. And the URL on the bottom is the URL for the QuickTime FAQ. There's a super secret directory beyond that. If you add developer / to the end of that, that's a directory that's not referred to by the normal page itself. But if you go to that, you'll find information on kind of like developer-only releases of QuickTime for the Macintosh and for Windows, and in the future, other platforms. And if you have any questions or concerns or anything, you can feel free to write me at any time. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Charles. Okay. Basically, at this point, we're going to transition from QuickTime 2.1 to QuickTime 2.5 on Windows, and kind of give you an idea of where we're headed in the near term and where we're going a bit further out. If you were at Wednesday's session, you probably saw quite a bit about QuickTime works on multiple platforms now, and it's not just for presentation anymore. It is QuickTime, all of it. There's only one, and we're delivering that in the near term on Windows, all flavors, Windows 3.1, Windows 95, and Windows NT. And we have an SGI in the works. You guys need to let us know if we should hurry that one along. And basically, we plan to have this stuff out by the end of this year. That's what we're shooting for. So everything you need to present your titles, author movies, and we're going to have some demonstrations of that coming up here soon, that you can create movies on Windows and distribute them on Macintosh. And at this point, and then a little further out, sometime next year, we're going to have QuickTime 3.0 with interactivity and a whole bunch of other new features. And it will be available on all the platforms where QuickTime is. I mean, there is going to be one QuickTime, which brings up another point. Next year, we're not going to be having a multi-platform session per se. There will be a QuickTime session, and it just makes more sense that way when it's going forward. So at this point, I wanted to talk a little bit about multi-platform content delivery and what this means to you. And basically, like everyone I've talked to of you guys out there, it's like really like the idea of authoring your content once and delivering it everywhere. And like we're enabling your CD-ROMs, we will be enabling DVD discs, we are enabling your internet presentation, and basically like we can reach a large number of customers if you enable your applications using our technology here. We're going to start out, we're going to have basically, you all know QuickTime, that's pretty obvious, that has to be in the content delivery portion. Going forward on Windows and SGI and Macintosh, we're going to have Sound Manager, the same Sound Manager from Macintosh, mixes your audio, plays it back at different rates, lets you compress and decompress all different formats, and that's going to be available everywhere QuickTime goes. And coming after that, we have to have most of QuickDraw. And it's not necessarily all of it, but it's everything that you need to enable QuickTime to work. Some specific examples of that are like we're going to have the region manager, drawing, graph ports, off-screen G-worlds, all of this other stuff that like you guys like to use for compositing with your own sprites or whatever. Like that will be there on all the platforms, and it'll just work. And we're also bringing across text. Text is like pretty important. Like I've seen a lot of titles, like either you go with bitmap graphics or you go with text that looks different everywhere you go. I mean, they may all be TrueType, but like different TrueType rendering engines look different on different platforms. It's just a reality right now. And basically going forward, we're going to have one engine that eliminates that discrepancy in what's going on. Anti-alias text is going to be part of that. So basically, high-quality text merged with your images. And then QTVR, another important type of content that you guys want to deliver. We want to have that everywhere. And we'll see some demos of 3D, QuickDraw 3D in particular, where 3D is integrated with QuickTime. And so QuickTime is controlling the motion and the cameras and the lighting and positioning of your 3D objects on the scene. So for real-time rendering, you can have the user interact with your title, move objects around, and QuickTime will help you manage all of that. And now we're going to move on to some demos. And the first demo we have for you now of QuickTime 2.5 is we're going to show you our sprites, the QuickTime sprites, on Unix, on an SGI box. And Michael Kellner will walk us through this. So at this point, basically, if you notice the sprites, there's a layering going on. The little one going back and forth keeps going in front and behind of the world. And you probably can't see it from your seats, but there's actually a few pixels missing out of the middle of the world. So when the sprite goes behind it, you can actually see pieces of that sprite showing through. And we have some other, like basically, I don't know if you saw Wednesday, we also can have video, a motion video as a sprite, which does compositing with all of this. And it's actually really high performance. So at this point, Michael wanted to show you guys like what we do when we're frustrated after programming Windows boxes for a few days straight. So that was a PC. That's what's left of it. It's just a little stress relief after hours. And at this point, just to continue walking you through some of the new technologies we're delivering to you later this year, I want Greg Chapman to show you the music synthesizer on our Pentium box, and it's a Pentium 90. And well, once we hear it and see it, and this is so now we pause that. Basically, like what you just saw there is the QuickTime music architecture running on Windows. And on this particular machine with 16-bit stereo, we have this particular machine configured right now to do 24 voice audio mixing. So at any given point in time, you're actually hearing 24 simultaneous notes. And the audio quality is pretty good. The output is 16-bit. Internally, we carry it around as 32-bit, so we don't lose the precision when we're mixing. And it should just sound good. And basically, given that our music architecture is going to be on all these different machines, wherever QuickTime goes, your content will sound the same everywhere you go. I mean, no more of this, like, it sounds great on a Macintosh, but it sounds like an FM synthesizer that's not very high quality on your Windows box. I mean, your title will sound the same. You can actually create your own custom instruments, and those will work on Windows and SGI, everywhere else we go. And basically, it should help you create more compelling titles. So at this point, I want to switch back over to our Unix box, and Michael will show us some 3D animation inside of QuickTime. So here is a wireframe model of a goblet that QuickTime is animating, and it's rendering in real time. And just to show you some of the capabilities here, so QuickTime is like moving around the viewpoint of the observer, and there's I'm just waiting to see what you guys are going to start doing with this technology. I mean, it's going to be here, and like some interesting stuff would be really, really great. Thank you, Michael. And at this point, just to show you, like, we are delivering our technology everywhere here, I want to show you some 3D inside of QuickTime on a Windows machine. So Greg can show us. Basically, we have a background video. We have a background video. It has a couple bugs we still have to work out. I mean, we haven't shipped yet. And the white flash is there. But basically, there's a spinning cube composited over top of a playing video, and on the surface of that spinning cube is another video that's playing. So this is the sort of thing we plan to help you do, and basically if you use QuickTime, it's just going to work. Thanks, Greg. And for our next demo, just to show you some text, we're still working on this, so this is somewhat preliminary, but here's some text on Windows 95 that we're rendering inside of QuickTime 2.5. And it may not be very interesting, but it does go to show you something in terms of this is anti-aliased. It looks reasonably good on an NTSC presentation. And basically, we're going to deliver this everywhere QuickTime goes, and it just works. So at this point, thanks, Greg. This is another one of those pictures you look at it and you're just like, I have no idea what this all means. Well, I want to walk you through it just a little bit. Basically, QuickTime, at a high level, you have the movie toolbox, which is how you and your application talk to QuickTime to tell it what to do and when to do it. Applications like Director layer on top of that and help you do it in a better fashion with their user interface that lets you specify when things happen. Part of QuickTime is standard user interface, which is like the QuickTime movie controller is going to look and feel the same on all the different platforms. If your application uses it, it'll be there. Some dialogues and standard file preview, Macintosh feature for now. We will be working on getting this on other platforms so that when you have your file open dialogues, you can actually see a preview of the movie in there and check it out. The most important thing QuickTime is providing is its synchronization services, which keep all of the medias in sync with each other. So like your audio, like if you want your 3D object to like bounce off the wall and you want your MIDI event to fire at that time so the user hears something interesting when that 3D object hits the wall, like we keep it synchronized for you. And like I said, we really care if you're off by a fraction of a second in an hour's worth of playing. So like we're working on that all the time. Underneath of that, you can actually build your own media types. Like, we provide certain media types for you. I mean, video, MIDI, MPEG, 3D, and audio. And we can add more. You guys can add more. Some of you guys have done some interesting things with adding new media types to QuickTime. And we keep your new media types synchronized with all the rest of them. So, and then other parts of the architecture, we have data handlers. So if you want to customize the performance of loading from a particular media type or over a network or something like that for your application, like, you can get in and replace ours, override its behaviors, and make it work better for your application. Image compression manager is where you can plug in your own codecs, plug in compression and decompression services. And the sound manager for mixing and audio input and bringing audio into your application and keeping that all synchronized with the video as it's inbound. And some media capture, which is the audio and video and whatever else you're doing. The other thing to note is QuickTime provides the standard file format, which is at the bottom of this picture. And this standard file format works on all these different transport mechanisms, all these different ways you have of delivering your content to your users. The QuickTime file format is the same everywhere. And it's just like, it adds convenience for your users, and it just makes your life easier because you don't have to deal with 5 different file formats once you're actually authoring your title and shipping it to people. QuickTime is becoming, and it really is, a platform for developing multimedia applications. Like, we would like to provide all of the services you need to make your applications work on every machine out there. And if we're overlooking a particular machine that you guys want, by all means, let us know, and we can work on enabling that one for QuickTime as well. QuickTime is the enabler for media authoring. I mean, basically, like, something 70%, the last number I heard, 70% of all multimedia content is actually developed on QuickTime for consumer-based titles. And hopefully we're helping you guys in that area too. QuickTime is everywhere, and we plan to continue this and go more places as more places become available. And next, we're going to have a demo of a new feature of QuickTime 2.5. We're going to create and save a movie on Windows, and then we're going to come over and play it on our Macintosh. And this is one that didn't quite work on Wednesday, but it's here today, and you can see it. So, Keith?
Okay, to take something Peter said on Wednesday, I think we're entering the dangerous part of this presentation. It wasn't too long ago that I was sitting in the audience thinking to myself, wow, this QuickTime for Windows is very cool, but why can't I save it? Why can't I edit it? Well, be careful what you wish for, because that's what I ended up doing. So what I'm going to take here is one of the movies that we have here, and I'm going to play it for you and then do an edit.
Check.
Of course, these units guys are kind of funny. We want to take that out and edit it. So let me play it again and see if I can stop it.
Check. Yes.
Okay, we want to cut this out here. Okay, come over and cut it. And then we're going to save it to a new file. And as Paul said, we're going to bring it over and play it in a Macintosh. And we'll call this test 2, just to prove that it's a new one. Okay. Okay, give me my... Okay, it won't give me my... There we go.
So now we're going to come over to our Macintosh and play that movie that we just saved. And so the sort of things, I mean, like, you guys are probably a lot more clever than we are as to where you guys want to use this stuff. Sort of things I've heard about just recently from developers is just the ability to basically take a whole bunch of video clips and glue them together and save them as part of your application. Music video creation, like someone wants to have a title that has a whole bunch of different clips, and you want your end user to, like, create a music video to some music that you've distributed to them, and then they could glue it all together and actually save that so that they can then show it to their friends or distribute it to their friends or whatever. So here we are on our Macintosh, and there's this movie we just edited.
Check.
And, well,
I must have not edited it correctly.
we didn't quite synchronize it up.
I think you can see this was the movie that I created on the PC, brought it directly over, and how committed that we are to bringing over the feature set that is currently on the Macintosh. QuickTime, it just works.
So at this point, I want to go into what sort of services we're actually planning to provide to your application and your development efforts in the near-term future. So we already went over QuickTime. Sound Manager and Music Synthesizer, going to be there. You guys can start figuring out how you want to use them, because it's coming. QuickDraw and TrueType, QuickDraw 3D, and sprites. I mean, they're just going to be there. They're just going to work. So let's start using them. Some non-obvious things, or other things we had to bring along just to get QuickTime to work and to save ourselves a lot of time in developing these other versions of QuickTime on other platforms. I mean, we're bringing along some other things. Memory Manager, Time Manager, the file system, OSQs, Fixed Math, Resource Manager, and more. And I just had a little demo here of what it is we're really doing. So QuickTime, that's pretty obvious. We're taking care of that. QuickTime components, we're doing that too. Sound Manager, we got to have that. Text, we got to have this too. Processes, I don't know. It's whatever. PowerPC system software, well, we actually have one little piece of this in here, not much, but the Mix Mode Manager is actually helpful on Windows when we have to go between a Windows 3.1 app and QuickTime and a Windows 32 app all on Windows 95, because we really don't want to have multiple versions of QuickTime floating around your system. Networking, I don't think we're going to have that in the near-term future. Memory Manager, devices, AOCE, if any of you guys even know what this is a huge book. We're not doing that. Macintosh Toolbox Essentials. We're actually doing some of the nifty things in here you guys need. Some of this will be coming. PowerPC numerics, not really. AOCE, not really. GX, it's interesting, but we're not doing it just yet. More Macintosh Toolbox, whole bunch of interesting things. Component Manager, definitely we have, so here we go. More GX, GX, these guys went hog wild with their manuals. They have 10 of them. Inter-application communication, well, we're not doing that much yet. Files, yeah, we have some Macintosh file APIs just because we have a lot of dependencies on how they work. Imaging with QuickDraw, we're doing most of this. And GX objects, and then operating system utilities, we have a lot of low-level stuff that we actually depend on in terms of timing and queuing and stuff. And basically, this was your entire Macintosh, and here's what we're giving you on all these other platforms, and here's what's staying on Macintosh for now. So basically, talk a little bit about what we're bringing you soon. The sequence grabber for video in, audio in, media capture, coming soon. Even more Macintosh toolboxes, these things make our lives easier, and hopefully they help make your life easier somewhere down the road. We're doing window manager and dialogues and menus. They're probably not going to be in 2.5, but if we get lucky, they may be. Just keep tuned in. And then QuickTime 3.0, coming very soon. So at this point, OS2 and other platforms. We announced our licensing agreement with IBM. They really want QuickTime on OS2, and we're helping them do that. And other platforms, as you guys tell us you want them. So at this point, I wanted to say how proud I am of the cross-platform, multi-platform development team. And these are the guys who made this all possible. We've been working really hard for the last 12 months. And I really want to say thanks. It's great working with you guys. And really dedicated bunch of people. Basically, before I came out to Apple, I was I was referred to as one of these Wall Street whiz kid computer programmers. I was on Wall Street doing financial algorithms and stuff. And then looking around, trying to figure out what I wanted to do for the next part of my career. And I was like looking around, it's like multimedia and internet were both pretty cool things. And it's like, I was looking around and QuickTime was it. QuickTime was it for multimedia. And it's like, I really liked it as an architecture. I really saw its potential as a standard for multimedia everywhere. And it was just a really compelling story, and I really wanted to come out and help that come to fruition and bring it out everywhere. But one of the things, like if you're on Wall Street and you're investing in a product or a technology or a company, one of the things you want to know the most about is the people behind it. And I can say, without a doubt, these are the best people you can have working on QuickTime for you. So. So I want to summarize here. I mean, QuickTime is a platform for multimedia content delivery. It's good for publishers, good for the internet, good for everyone, and we're providing pervasive multimedia authoring services. And now, given that we have some time, I'd like to do a little Q&A. We have 5 minutes. So any questions, and hopefully we can find the answers for you. I guess if we could get this mic on.
Hello? OK.
OK.
Can't help but ask, are you guys using the direct draw and direct sound APIs?
For any given platform, we use the services that that platform provides that let us run the best possible way. So we do use them if that's the way that helps us run the best.
And all those various managers that you're porting to Windows, we're going to be able to use those provided QuickTime's installed?
I'm not sure I heard your question.
Say we wanted to use the sound manager but not QuickTime. As long as QuickTime's installed, we can go straight to the sound manager?
Yeah, sound manager is going to be part of the QuickTime DLL. We optimize our build so that basically if you're only using sound manager is the only thing in memory. So it shouldn't really create much overhead. And if it is, I'm sure you guys will tell us that you want it done differently.
Right. OK.
Thanks.
I just wanted to say thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Hi there. I just wanted to put in a plug for versions of Unix that you haven't mentioned. HPUX, Solaris, SunOS.
OK.
Because they're a big part of the internet as well right now. And
Okay.
right now you've got, I mean, QuickTime 1.0 on there.
Right.
Which we need to get up to speed on those as well.
Yeah, those are certainly important platforms. And like, if you look at the internet, like one of the things that we see, if you have QuickTime on your web server as well as on the client, there are actually even more interesting things you can do in terms of presenting and feeding the content to the user based on the bandwidth you have available. So I mean, we would like to make QuickTime available on more web servers and different operating systems where those servers live.
Yeah, thank you though.
Thanks. So.
Jim Carnaccia, LTI. Great job, guys. This is really fantastic. How close is this going to get us to a common code base for multimedia type stuff for PC and Mac? If I understand you correctly, I should be able to compile on both platforms with a common code base?
Yeah, that's correct. There are some issues, and like we want to work through these with you when we get our seeds out. There are some namespace conflicts between like some QuickTime APIs and Macintosh services and APIs you have available on Windows. So like if you include the windows.h and you include our header file, just if we stick with what's in the inside Macintosh manuals, there are some naming conflicts. And like we'd like to work through with you like what we can do about that. Like one option is we can rename the QuickTime APIs to have a prefix on them that gives it a different namespace to make it unique. I mean, that's one approach. Another approach is to basically provide other sets of headers that are kind of mutually exclusive with Windows. So you do part of your build with our headers and part of your build with their headers, and everything just works. I mean, we're moving that direction.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, Dirk Johnston, Team Development. The automatic configuration that QuickTime for Windows does seems pretty good, but what happens if the user changes a video card or sound card or something after the installation?
Okay, in general, we recognize that sort of situation. The audio cards are a lot easier than the video cards because the audio, we're configuring it constantly as content is playing and tuning that up. They can always go to the control panel and override it. In terms of video, we try to automatically configure the video. It generally just works, and we can go forward from there. And I think we're running out of time. So I think one last question, and then we're set.
Mine was just another vote for Solaris. Really need it.
Thanks. Well, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next year. And thanks, guys.
Your mother used to take the cure. She kept plastic on the furniture in the living room.